BRBRadio.com. The words and opinions you are about to hear are of the hosts and do not reflect the management, sponsors, or affiliates of Cave Radio Broadcasting.
The views and opinions expressed by our show hosts do not necessarily reflect that of Sports Radio Detroit or its sponsors.
Marvin, what do you make of all this?
Man, I don't even have an opinion.
Well, you gotta have an opinion.
Hey, very exciting stuff. I think we're pretty much ready to go here with this podcast.
What the hell is a podcast? I mean, why don't you just tape it? What are you doing?
You don't have to tape it these days, Frank. You just record it right on the computer.
And once we start recording, Frank, we need you to stop eating those crackers. It's incredibly annoying, and it's all anyone's going to be able to hear.
Dead air!
Could you ease up on the crackers?
I'm getting bored with this. I'm going to bring my guest in.
You're listening to the SRD Roadshow on SportsRadioDetroit.com.
All right, so, morning, everybody.
Top of the morning to you.
Coming in with a bang there.
Coming in with a bang. Well, it's a strange. The weather is finally warming up nicely. It was opening day week for everybody out there who. We'll talk about opening day in a second because I want to kind of insert that in the ramble a little bit because Papchek has some experience with opening day working radio. So, and I kind of wanted to get your opinion about that. You're listening to the SRD Roadshow on CRBRadio.com, of course, on SportsRadioDetroit.com on demand. And thank you for everybody for listening this morning on Facebook Live. I've got it up. I got a jury rig mic setup going, but everybody's say hi to everybody on Facebook. So,
hello, Facebook.
But so opening day, Tigers, big win, 4-3 or 5-4, excuse me, over the Royals. Not necessarily a big win, but the Tigers are over 500. But doesn't. It's again first week of baseball, so it's always the case. And so, Tiger fans, I'm just trying to be realistic. We're still in for a long season. But Jason Pinkham joins us, formerly of Fanarchy.
Of a lot.
Formerly of a lot, but Fanarchy's in a state of flux at the moment.
No, it's over.
Well,
no, it's done.
Thanks, Wilson.
Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah, so
it's unfortunate, but it's gone.
Yeah, but Keys, I'm sorry, but yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah, but so opening day, you got so Papchek working radio promotions. You see the best in people. You also see the worst in people. And by the way, awesome Dr. Dog shirt. Love that shirt.
Oh, thanks, bud.
Love shirt.
This opening day was tame as hell.
Really?
It was boring. And by boring, I mean there was like the worst it got was with security guards, with people that weren't actually being belligerently drunk. The security guards have obviously worked opening days before, so they're like, no, I'm not dealing with this shit today. But nobody was being belligerent. Like I'm talking about in years past, we show up at 6 a.m. and there's already people in the streets passed out, people that can barely walk. There's just all these. There's all of that, and then Thursday, no, it was like a normal day. I mean, yeah, there was a lot of people, but it felt like a football game. That's about roughly about what it felt like. It felt like a Lions game.
One weird thing I've noticed over the last exactly 5 years, because a friend of mine became a stripper 5 years ago in Legends Detroit, so like where those people go, where Tigers people go on opening day, and there's like a weird graph you could make, because as the team gets worse, people go to the strip club earlier and earlier and more and more and more, and like every year she makes more money. Like her first year, it still kills. Like she makes like $600 on opening day shift, but this year she made like $1,400 because just nobody's going to the game. They just don't care. They're just like, no, this sucks, but I got the day off work, so I guess I'll go see some boobs or something.
I mean, that'll make your day a little better if the Tigers are trying to bring it down.
I mean, even if the game was good, from what I've heard, it was good. It went into extra innings, didn't it?
No, it finished in the typical 9 innings.
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
The reason why I was asking about that, Papchek, is because there's an interesting column in the Free Press about not doing opening day because it just gets the trash aspect of it, the litter, and people just coming down for Detroit for one thing. And
so you mean like any other event any city ever throws ever? What
Bingo.
the hell is that?
Every country music concert, every concert, I should say specifically.
Yeah.
Every event,
but country
people suck.
music's definitely at the top.
It kind of is the worst, though. Yeah.
Yeah, but
you guys ever seen the pictures of the field after faster horses?
No, and faster horses is a different story. But
my God.
but the amount of beer, the amount of aluminum for one day in there. But either way, if somebody can help me fix this so it stays like this, that'd be greatly appreciated. While I Thank you, Mike. Mike is on the case.
So, like, lower it a little bit?
Yeah. Well, the problem
Oh,
is...
and vertical.
In vertical. Yeah, it won't stay, like, for whatever reason. It keeps...
Wouldn't your pop hold it?
You'd think so.
Your thing on the back? Like, if you pull it out?
Yeah.
Just
thing on the back.
Just pull it out.
Just pull it out.
No, this is too late. Just keep going. I got it.
Oh, okay.
All right. So, anyways, we keep it going. But
so, anyways, back to that interview with Papchek about opening day.
No. The reason why I was talking about that is, well, first of all, smart ass. It was because the
No. I was just playing a joke.
Oh, it's just because like the last. No, it's mine. Those are mine. The last, working in radio promotions.
That's a committed man. I love it.
Mike Proe, you worked in radio promotions. You've seen those opening day events.
Yes.
Do you miss doing that at all?
Not at all. I don't miss doing promotions, and it doesn't matter what promotion it is.
Yeah.
But no, either way, I thought
you didn't work with us. We make it awesome.
Yeah, no, I think Papchek and I's experience doing promotions is unique, and I think unfortunately, Proe, you got stuck with some haters, if you will. But either way,
where'd you do promotions at? If you don't mind me asking.
He did Greater Media.
Riff.
Yep.
I mean, like for what kind of events? He said opening day, but
death metal.
Oh boy,
that was
Austin's ears perked up a little bit, perhaps.
Which I didn't know a single person whatsoever. I was like, man, this is going to be a long evening.
My experience with the bounce, man.
Yeah.
What's the bounce?
The 105.1, the bounce.
Oh, I don't listen to radio. I haven't listened to radio in years.
So, but either way, so opening day was this week. The Tigers off to a good start, but
Roger's getting less and less ability to move.
You know what? What's not off to a good start is the AAFL, as it came to a crashing halt this week.
Didn't even finish the 10-week season that it was planned.
It was the AAF, right?
The AAF.
Yeah.
AAF.
They randomly suspended and no one knew why, and they were all like expecting to play.
Well, no, they know why.
I mean, like the players didn't know why, though.
No, everybody knows why. There's not enough money.
Yeah, there wasn't enough money at all.
There is not enough money. And sorry for anybody
One of the
who
top investors pulled his share or whatever, 2 weeks.
Yeah, he donated like $70 million, and then he automatically became the chair, and then like head dude, and then a week after he donates some money, he's like, "Well, we might have to shut this down." Like, bro, you just donated money.
Yeah.
How many games did they play?
8 out of the 10 weeks that they had.
Oh, you couldn't make it 2 more weeks.
Steve Spurrier's team was 7-1,
yep.
And a lot of people from his team are getting plucked off to be signed to different teams. Kansas City assigned a person. Somebody just signed. Cleveland just signed the top quarterback that they had as is going to be their backup now. But a few people have gotten signed, even though the NFL is issuing out warnings to teams not to sign people from the AF.
Why?
Because it can. The people who are for the AF could sue people from the AF, and then it's just a whole a legal thing.
Yeah,
it's not because, hey, we don't want you picking up anything from them. It's just legal jargon. Like, hey, how about you not do it? They can't make them because clearly people are still doing it.
Yeah,
but
well, either way, they said that the heavy losses fuel the speculation that really Charlie Charlie Ensborough, the co-founder of AFL, wanted the gambling technology behind it. So because MGM invested quite heavily into it. So
wait, honest question here: is it the AFL or the AAF?
AAF.
Oh, okay.
And they wanted to get practice squad members from the NFL, so that way these people can highlight themselves, and it could turn into being a developmental league. And then they just assume that they start this league, and we got some of the high people from NFL, Bill Polian, who's just a genius, thinking you can get these guys in, and somehow we can mash it up and make it a developmental league. And the NFL wanted no part of it. They wanted no part of it. They weren't even down to negotiate. We're like, no, you get Joe Blow from being a janitor, and you make him a thing. But
aren't there 2 other football leagues that are supposed to be starting too?
That's the point too. The competition was getting steeper. And go ahead, Mike.
There's a spring league about to start here pretty soon, and then the XFL is supposed to start next year. But if you're an investor for either one, okay, the spring league's going to start either way. But if you're an investor for the XFL, why the hell are you going to put any more money into it or think it might survive if one franchise didn't survive and it had way smarter people?
Not to mention, also, too, you have college football that gives you prospect for free. essentially, and that's where I think some of these leagues are falling short. What's going to make you distinctive among the NFL? Because you're filling a void when people want football all year long? Oh, of course. But they got to realize, too, at the same time, I think that the AFL profited or failed on three things. One, the product was terrible. Two, I think the chinky marketing and just the whole presentation as a whole seemed cheap to me, at least.
But I don't. They had the backing of CBS. They were on the NFL Network. It's not like they were on True TV or the Oxygen.
Yeah, it's
channel.
not like they're the NHL.
No, they were actually on like known
over there on the
TV
Golf Channel.
Channels, you know what I mean? So they had decent ratings. I just don't see. And you had like this. It was more of the money situation rather than like failure at the top.
But where is this money issue? Because it's like. Was it in renting arenas? Was it in paying players?
Playing players, everything.
I mean,
it's everything involving football operations. Yeah.
I mean, he didn't pool. He's a top investor, and then he didn't want to be in it the moment he got in it. So it's like he was 1 foot. He was 1 foot in.
What was it? Is the Carolina Hurricanes owner that donated $250 million? And then what that meant was I read like several articles about this. He said, or basically, he did it so he could have full control, and he was the main person that wanted to shut it down. Nobody else really did, but because he's like, dude, I gave you guys all the money, so I get to tell you what to do.
And so
it's a power play.
It seems kind of dumb. That was like, man,
nice
maybe you got money from the wrong person. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So,
I shock of all shocks, the guy who owns a team who doesn't sell out is probably not good at running a sports franchise.
Well, I think the reason why, also too, I think it's kind of cheap done, Mike, is because it felt like they rushed it to market because they saw the other two competitions coming out, and I think that if they planned it, but Vince McMahon, I think is like realizing the mistakes from his first time with the XFL, and I think this time around it might be successful because he's put $270 million of his own money into it, not paying his wrestlers, which the John Oliver thing that was posted last week.
That was fascinating.
But
I knew, like Dave said, I knew most of it, but yeah. Anyways, go on.
The thing is that I think with Vince McMahon, he learned quite a bit from that. I mean, he got money off the XFL from that patent for the camera, anyways, which is
Skycam.
Yeah, Skycam, which is really remarkable. So I think the XFL is better set up. But honestly, Austin, did you watch a minute of the I can't say it.
It's AAF.
AAF.
I'm server, so there were several times when I walked past the TV with it on, and I looked up. I saw one really hard hit on Twitter.
Yeah.
And besides that, no, I did not. And football is my favorite thing to watch of any sport, and I had zero desire to even want to watch it. Because
that's saying something.
It's just, I don't know, it's just not good football, I guess. You know? You can watch.
I mean, if I may, I think what it said.
And I don't know, it's enough for me. You know, I don't even have enough free time to watch the amount of sports I would like to watch from the leagues I already follow.
I just forgot that it was on.
So I'm not going to add another football. You know what I mean? Like, who's got time to watch?
That's what I was going to say. Like the NFL season, the NFL season moves at such a pace, and there's so much going on during that season that I feel like people would just be tired of it at a certain point. Like it's kind of a wear down between if you're also a college fan and you're an NFL fan. Like to the point where like a running joke on Fanarchy was that the world stops when the NFL goes on. Like we had a running joke that like if 9/11 had been like October 15th, it wouldn't have been as much of a like freak out because when shit happens during football season, it kind of gets like recycled in the news cycle because the whole country's just watching football.
Right.
I don't know if they could sustain that for a year as a people. Like I just think people would just it's too much.
But it did happen during the football season though. they skipped a week.
No, September is like it's preseason.
But they still skipped a week, though.
Yeah.
NFL skipped a week.
But it's not the same as I'm saying. If it had happened in October or November, we would have been like, "Man, that sucks." But
but at the same time, like I think the league is what the league happened too as well for filling that void for spring. I think you're right though. It should have worked, but I think the greed factor, and I think also to me, if we could sum it up the best way, really it's just poorly planned. I mean,
they had smart people at the top. They just got money from the wrong person who wanted to quit the moment he put the money in, which made no sense. So,
I feel
go ahead.
I mean, because I actually forgot that the game was on sometimes, and then when it was on, and I did remember. I mean, I did stay to watch. I mean, football's football. I mean, regardless of what you think about the players. I mean, you watch a college game, more than likely you don't know 90% of the people on the field anyways, unless it's your team. Right. So I didn't really care about if I knew anybody. I like to watch football. And then, I mean, it's a shame.
I feel like we're avoiding the issue of the fact that another football league was trying to go up against the NFL.
But they weren't trying to go up. They were trying to be the development league to them. So I don't think they were competing with them.
But they are.
Every football is going to compete with the NFL. Okay, but that's besides the point.
It's not. No. That's not beside the point, Mike. That is the exact point.
I'm just saying. That's regardless of what you're, listen for a second. They were trying to be bonded with the NFL.
Dude,
they
know.
Weren't trying to compete. The NFL could have, like, you know what? Here, we will give you some of our practice players that probably will never make it to a team.
But that doesn't benefit the NFL. That's my whole point. The NFL will try to squash any of these things happening. Why do you think they didn't want to sign players for a totally different reason. But no, it shut down because you have to compete with the NFL regardless of what your goal is, because that's the top football league. It's the same thing.
Well, in all fairness to both entities, like it does. This happens every 3 years. Like
that's what I mean.
There was a Katie Nolan piece on this that there's been 15 leagues in the last 20 years that have tried to exist. It just there's no room for it because it just.
But there should be a developmental league.
I agree. No, I agree 100%.
Sporting has it.
But if you have a slave trade, why pay for them? If you have a slave trade, why pay for it?
Yeah, exactly. There
you have a slave trade.
There you go.
There's no reason to pay for it.
That they're not gonna.
It took an entire civil war to pay for an entire race of people. Why would they pay for college?
My point is
when they can glorify it and put them on TV.
My whole thing is that with what Jason just said as well is that they're looking at what's going on in minor league baseball with players trying to get more money, NBA with the G League, what have you, and college basketball. It's trying to come back that a little bit, too. But the NFL right now is sitting pretty because they have nothing to worry about with that when it comes to competition, which is why they have the rules they have in place for a certain age. They're saying, because the players are not developing. That's just horseshit. That's just they don't want to pay players at a younger age if they don't have to. I mean,
and in all fairness, the NFL didn't have to squash any league. They almost always fail on their own.
Yeah, so
they always fail on their own.
It just happens.
They
all fall apart.
Yeah, arena football.
Except for arena football, that just keeps going.
Yeah, no, not really though, because arena football tried to expand itself and they shut themselves. Arena football is not what it was 15 years ago. I mean,
but it's still going.
Not the way it used to.
But the other leagues don't exist at all.
Patrick, didn't arena football league it stopped going for a while, didn't it? For a good year.
You're asking the wrong person,
all right,
man.
Bro, you were. We talked about arena football before, but
I think it's still going.
but not to the same degree it did before.
They realize that they're on the same level as a monster truck show.
Yeah, that's it.
There's 6 teams.
They realize they're the football equivalent of a monster truck show, and they kept themselves there.
Yeah, but they should have. But they expanded too much. That was the problem.
I agree.
Yeah, Kurt Warner when they got Kurt Warner's our glory story. But speaking of stories, by the way, my Pro is going to spin one about a country singer and a golf player,
which is pretty funny. So,
do you want me to play some music behind this? Because I can
story time.
Yeah, story time music.
You guys got time for a story?
Patrick, you don't want story time music?
No. I was like, Roger, what do you mean? Don't ask. You just do it. You're the producer. Damn it.
I understand that.
You tell us story time music.
You tell us you're putting music on.
All right.
Roger.
You know what?
But I do want you to cue up some the Titanic song when we go to Horse.
Okay.
At the end. But so the day after the Phil Mickelson Tiger Woods duel, it was Jordan Spieth's wedding, and Jake Owen, he admits that he had a few to drink and was a little bit too honest with them. So to sum up his story, he said, I gave Phil Mickelson a lot of shit. It was the day after they played. I walked over to him. I was like, hey, Phil, you owe me effing $29.99 for wasting 4 hours of my life with the shittiest golf I've ever seen. You guys hyped this whole thing up to be this big match. You guys couldn't even make 3 birdies between you. I want my $29.99 back and apology for some shit golf. You know what Phil Mickelson did?
What's that?
Well, he did the most Phil Mickelson thing that you could think of. He pulls out a wad because he always has a wad of money. He's always got $10,000 on him no matter what. Like he's a rapper.
Yeah, he's like Shaq.
You know what I mean? He pulls out a wad, grabs 100, and he's like, yeah, I won 90,000 of these yesterday. Take 100 and go fuck yourself.
That's good stuff.
Golfers, man, they're low-key the richest people.
Yeah.
Because they're smart. They all put their residencies in Florida and California, or Florida and Texas, is it? So they don't pay income tax.
Yeah.
But that's a real Phil thing, though. You know, like even when they were on TV, they're talking about how about you guys have some side bets, and Phil pulls out his wallet and he's just got a wad. He's like, "We can bet 1,000 on this right now."
Well, that's what Skins is, isn't it? I mean, Skins is essentially legal betting, isn't it? When they do
kinda, but it's more like a point system than an actual money system.
It's just the points are worth money.
Yeah,
yeah. But that's pretty cool. That's like
it's not the same as literally pulling out a wad of cash and like making it rain on a hole. No,
but it's a legal way of putting it.
Kinda, yeah.
But that's a boss story.
But shout out to Jake Owen telling Phil what everybody else thought in the world.
I didn't feel that because I knew it was going to be that before it happened. Like that was a thing we covered for a while, and
I mean, it was.
I was like, this isn't going to matter. They're not going to care.
It was a golf version of Mayweather Pacquiao.
Kind of, yeah. No, Mayweather McGregor. Yeah.
No, I mean, because Pacquiao Mayweather should have happened 10 years before it happened. The Tiger Phil should have happened 10 years. Before
I don't think it would have mattered when it would have happened.
Was,
I think they just didn't care
before Tiger got caught up and he was still cheating and had a good back. That would have been a good match.
I don't think so. In that setting, they don't care. Like unless it's for a major, they're never going to play hard. That's the thing about golfers, man. They're pretty smart about it.
Here's the other thing. Like, the money went to charity. Now, if it was like $1 million, here's a suitcase, you take this shit home, that would have been a little bit more. But you're playing for somebody else, even though it's still a good cause. You know, blah blah blah.
Charity's still getting the money either way.
You know, but
which charity? You know.
Yeah, but the difference is the way the fire you see in any golfer's eye on a major tournament like the Masters or the Open or something like that, or the U.S. Open is untouchable. And people try to the point where there's actually considered the fourth major, the PGA Championship. They still don't really care as much as they do for the other three.
As far as like, in terms of like a fringe golf fan, those kind of special events don't even get me interested. Honestly, I think like
they don't get hardcore golf fans interested.
No,
it gets drunk bettors.
They should have had like an undercard. You know, had who's the colorful pants dude who's always drunk or smoking?
John Daly.
Yeah, John Daly.
John Daly.
He's more John Daly.
He's like 60 years old now, though.
But he's still an interesting watch. And he's still
he's not good though.
Regardless, though, he's still an entertainment factor. This is for entertainment. Who gives a shit about anything else? And if you watch him, even though he plays at the Senior Open, he still has a crowd behind him, and people still want to hear what the jokes and stories, the things that he has to say. So he is still an interesting factor.
Yeah, he is an interesting person. I mean, people still talk about him for stuff he's done in the 90s. I mean, this John Daly's a legend, and it doesn't matter if he's good or not. Even like you think of Lee Trevino. When has Lee Trevino actually mattered in golf? So
he was in Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, there we go. That's what I'm saying. Like, remember that?
Leslie Adams did have a beard.
Yeah, just those lines. You know what I mean? Like that's what golf is. Golf is characters, and that's what I appreciate about golf, and that's what I remember about golf too. And as much as I'm trying to get into golf now because for work related purposes, I mean, like
that's an expensive work related.
Well, yeah. Well, everybody's like, oh yeah, we do golf tournaments all the time. I'm like, great, awesome. Like tomorrow.
Fun fact, Roger. When they say they're doing that, they're saying we're alcoholics.
No, I understand that.
Okay.
No, I understand that.
That's really what they're saying is we drink a lot.
Yeah, I mean, tomorrow
we need a reason to do so.
Like tomorrow, I'm going to Dallas till Wednesday for work, and one of the things they offered was, oh yeah, we're doing golf in the middle of the day on Tuesday. I'm like,
we're drinking in the middle of the day.
Well, first and foremost, I'm not golfing in 80-degree weather.
That's perfect.
Well, yeah, but in Texas, I don't know. For me,
it ain't July.
Well, I'm ready for July, sure, but it's April, and I'm not. You know, it's gonna throw me off.
I have never
throw me off.
Putt doesn't count. I have never swung a golf club.
You should go to the driving range. It's fun.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Just not as an adult. Like golf as a millennial, it makes no sense to me. Why would I go do something that costs me $50, $60? I got to wake up at 4 a.m. to go do it. Like, it's
awful.
Know what
world he's living in.
What do you mean? No, if you want to go to a good tee time, you either have to go after everybody or before everybody. Otherwise, you sit on the holes for hours. It's just like you don't get to go your own pace. Most of the people I've ever played golf with are just not
awful.
People I have anything in common with. Yeah. To me, it's an economical gap between me and other people who play golf. Seriously though,
it's weird because like the more money I make,
I feel that
the more money I make as an adult, the less I play. But when I was poorer, I played more because I used Golf Now, and I'd play at Rouge Park in the middle of the day at like 10 a.m. or 11 a.m., which wasn't too early then for like $12. On a Tuesday because nobody's
there. Get some
there.
box wine and drink it out of.
I don't drink though. I never really. I never drank and played ever.
I like Papchek's angle, the millennial angle.
Well, you
like
doing it right.
I'm a millennial too. Like that's.
Well, no, we all technically are except for Roger. But that was a buzzword. But honestly, like seriously though, golf is dying off because of that. Because it's getting more and more expensive to play. And less people are playing, so prices keep going up.
I think the buy-in is the hard part for people to swallow. Because like playing now, I would say is actually like playing around is cheaper than it's ever been, and actually like bang for your buck in terms of like amount of time per dollar spent. There's not much out there in terms of direct exchange. Like even a concert's 3 hours for like $60, $70, $80. You can play around a golf for 20. You know what I mean? It's like 3-4 hours.
You and I,
$20.
yeah, I was like,
Easily.
you and I are in two different worlds because as what I know about golf costs $50, $60, $70.
I'm guessing you live north of 96.
I live in Pontiac.
Okay,
but
okay, that makes sense. Then.
I mean, anywhere, but like the shows I go to are like between $10 and $20. Really, I can't remember the last time I spent more than $30 on a music ticket.
Yeah.
Hell, Dr. Dog I think was $26.
Buzzword, we're just going to start putting the alarm on. But just like if we every time we say millennials, we just do the Price is Right ding song or alert. But
so I pay way too much for concerts, and you pay way too much for golf.
Well, I never actually paid for golf.
Oh,
so that's the difference.
I hated that. I never did it.
Well, no, like I had other people. Like I had my dad bring me along a couple times. He's like, "Just wait till you can do this yourself." I'm like, "Wait, you're telling me that I gotta drop $60 and go golfing with all my friends, spend all day, wake up 4 a.m. Like you want me to do this by myself? Oh no,
oh man." No, low key though. I once did it just by myself, just played around by myself, and it was
I know Ben does that too.
It was like a religious experience. It was like seeing God. I'm just like, I'm alone.
I'd rather disc golf.
See, that's what it is. I disc golf. It is the poor man's golf.
It's the stoner's golf.
It's the sorry, that was really loud. Sorry, I mean blasted.
Because I used to play. There was 2 summers a couple of years ago that I played disc golf every day by myself. Well, not every day by myself, but I'd just go up there by myself and just join people.
You guys are probably the only disc golfers I like because there was a guy when I was in college at WMD who talked about disc golf. He was such a douche about it that I thought every single person that played disc golf was a douche.
Dude, he feels.
Well, here's the other thing. I'm from the hood, and there wasn't too many people going golfing. That's just like
same here.
The hood has one of the best courses in the state. Rouge Park. Rouge Park is legitimately one of the best courses in the state.
Do you think people living around that hood are going to that golf park?
No. Well, actually, it's not that expensive. It's like that was where I played there for like $12.
But not. Oh, I was going to say not that expensive is a super relative term, though.
Yeah, no, their standard rates were like 20, I think, for 18.
So, Austin, have you ever? I mean, you're in all sports, but golf never.
I was like in a little golf league with a few friends of mine, like for a summer. Maybe it was 2 summers. I don't remember. It was fun.
Was it bowl cut, Austin?
No. That was like okay. So there was like bowl cut Austin when I was in 1st grade. You know, like up to that point, and then I just had like short hair, and then like when I was growing my hair out, I was bowl cut Austin again for a little while. That was rough. It was a tough time.
There's a picture of Austin that was on Facebook the other day, and I saw him with the bowl cut, and I laughed hysterically at work for about 5 minutes before somebody came over to me. So it's so funny. I'm like, don't worry about it. So,
I never understood the league thing. I can never find enough people to do it.
It was like I was like 12 or something or 13, and there was just a course like at the corner of my street. Me and my friends would go up there or whatever. We'd just walk up there and we'd play. It was at Idlewild, so it wasn't like a crazy nice course.
Idlewild. Okay. So you live in Livonia, okay?
Yeah. But I like it. I just don't like to go now because I don't think it's worth the money. Like, I don't know. I also have like a bunch of like really jank clubs that are like they were way too small for me when I was like 13, and now I don't know. You know, I don't want to be like bending over, like touching my toes to swing the golf club.
Mm-hmm.
I just never got into golf because
I'd rather play basketball or something.
Yeah,
or even just like throw a baseball around or a football around.
I would absolutely love to play basketball, but basketball requires several people, and I have like 2 friends. So
of
course,
that's why I don't golf.
Speaking of basketball, we'll get in the horse in a second. If you ever want to play backup basketball, I've been telling
all summer. I'm down literally all summer. I keep telling people at the radio station, "Hey, why don't we put a basketball hoop in the bag?"
There used to be one.
I'm down to hoop, but I do need to hit the gym a couple of times prior to because I don't think I can. Are we playing full court or half court?
No, we're probably playing half court. Honestly,
No one wants to run. No one wants to play full court.
Not to mention, I feel like I'm going to blow out an Achilles heel. So I have like.
That's why I said I want to hit the treadmill for a couple of days prior to get some
wind going,
some cardiovascular in my system.
Yeah, get those.
Why don't you just start now so we could do it? So we don't do it. And Mike's like, I don't know, man. My back hurts a little bit.
I want Ben to talk about his he used to be a power forward, so I want to see him in power forward capacity. Back in grade school, he talked about that one day, so it was funny. But I used to be a small forward. I used to be considered a small forward. But all right, it's time for Horse on the SRD Roadshow as we.
Is Ben even big enough to be a power forward?
In grade school, he was. I was a power forward in grade school.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So, without further ado, Pro, take it away.
So, this is Horse. H.
Super anticlimactic. So, this is Horse.
The Miami Heat are not locked for the playoffs, and Dwayne Wade's possibly last NBA game ever is not going to be on national TV. Do you think that this is a fail by the NBA?
Of course. I mean, I think they're just putting their faith in that Dwayne Wade's going to make the playoffs. But I mean, if it turns out that he doesn't, then you're just going to have to watch like someone's video on YouTube or whatever, recorded off their phone.
So
for Dwayne Wade's last send off.
So but we've been doing a send off all season. We all know it's his last season. If you waited till the last game to see him, isn't that kind of your own damn fault? I mean, the NBA did mess up, but at the same time, if you live in Miami, you've had 41 games to do it.
If you live, but it's still the last.
Been doing, why do the send off all season long, and then you're not going to do it the actual last
other
game?
Teams are doing a send off, but has the Miami Heat done their own send off? No, but at the same time, it's still a legend of the game, and it's his last game, regardless of. You should have seen them the other 41 times, even though they haven't had 41 games on TNT or on national television. Hey, who knows if nobody has cable? You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is, it's a legend of the game.
Yeah, it's a legend, but he was. That's the thing. I'm not saying it's right, but the NBA literally is way more interested in Milwaukee and Golden State right now. And they want current storylines. They want something they can run with next year. So I agree with you. It's not right, but this is kind of what the NBA does.
Yeah, and honestly, look, and the thing about it is, too, for me, Dwayne Wade's time has come, and he's done a retirement tour. I mean, well, how much more media attention does he need? Honestly, it's the franchise's fault for not setting him up for success for that team not to make the playoffs. So I don't know. I think this is kind of not a fail. Really, it's a fail on the NBA or the Miami Heat rather, but it's not the NBA's responsibility to prop him up in more than they already have.
No, it is the NBA's responsibility to put good games on TV. And you honestly trying to tell me that if they market, hey, this is Dwayne Wade's last NBA game, are you trying to tell me that it's not going to draw in a few more viewers?
Well,
that's crazy.
Depends on what other games are going on. What other games going on of that day?
It's the last game of the season. Everything else is locked up. I'm sure there's going to be a few games, but there's nothing coming down to the wire. And listen to this.
Actually, there is though. 4 teams.
But listen. The winner of this game could possibly make it to the playoffs.
That's what I was just saying.
So why not? Regardless of who's playing, they should be playing marquee matchups. Like, hey, winner makes it to the playoffs. But they're not even doing that. It was like, hey, we set up a lineup, and this channel was going to get these games, and we're going to stick to that. Even though they own the rights and they can move some shit around, which makes no sense.
Yeah,
you have the power to change games around.
Either way, the way the Eastern Conference is lining up right now for the last couple of days of the season, I think with Papchuk, to get to Papchuk's point, there should be some good stuff coming up regardless. I mean, either way, the West right now is pretty much spoken for essentially. So everybody's locked up over there in the West, but the East, it's right now, and the Magic are 8-2 in their last 10, have virtually come out of risen from the dead. Lock up. They're almost they're in the 6th seed right now. The Pistons. And the
Nets. What did I say about the Orlando Magic a month ago? I promised you they'd make the playoffs.
Yes, you did. So Papchuk's guarantee. Next time we got to get that audio and put it on one of those.
No, because the rest of it's bullshit, and I knew it was bullshit when I said it. So no, I don't want that. The second half of that we're not going to talk about.
All right, we can isolate that. All right, so
MVP is just about locked up, but other categories may not be. Who's your winner in one of these categories? Coach of the Year, GM of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Sixth Man, Most Improved, or Defensive Player? Papchak?
I had an answer for Most Improved. What's his name on the Nets? Oh, God.
Russell? D'Angelo Russell?
Yeah. I'm going to have to say D'Angelo Russell because he's part of the reason why the Nets are – well, he is a big part of the reason the Nets are in the playoff picture right now. And I guess I don't know his numbers off the top of my head, but I think I speak for everyone here. When he left the Lakers, you kind of thought he'd taper off and just disappear because of what happened. And now, like, he was considered a locker room cancer, and now he's playing well on a different team with a change of scenery. So I'm going to go with D'Angelo Russell, even though I don't like him.
I would somewhat agree, but that's the same thing with every other point guard in the league. A lot of point guards take a lot more time to develop. Like Mike Conley. Mike Conley was garbage his first 4 years, and he turned into the person who he is. Kyle Lowry was not that good his first couple years, but you see time and time again that teams give up on their point guards sooner than they should and give that person away, just like DSJ. I mean, so it happens. But my Most Improved.
You're about to say the right answer, right? You're talking about Siakam?
Pascal Siakam?
Siakam's actually the right answer, and it's actually not close. So I'm sorry for polluting everybody's ears with what I had to say.
But it's good.
Mike's
though.
right.
It's good though. I'm usually right, but but Pascal Siakam is by far the most improved player, and maybe it's a different coach. Like the same thing happened with the Bucks. They got a different coach, different system, different people are showing up a lot more. But Pascal Siakam was averaging 7, 2, and 3. Now he's averaging 6, 5, and 6. You know what I mean? So, and he's been like a key contributor for the Toronto Raptors when a lot of their players have been out. You know, they're resting Kawhi Leonard every other game. Lowry's been out numerous games. But Pascal Siakam, I don't think they would be where they are today if it wasn't for the contributions that he's done to this team.
And not to mention,
I just need to correct Mike. Go ahead. You said he's averaging 6 points. He's actually averaging. I know you didn't mean to say, but it sounded like you said 6 points. I'm just clarifying. He's averaging 16.9 points per game this season. So I just want to clarify. Go ahead, Roger.
It gives Toronto what they needed, which was a rim defender, which they didn't really. They've lacked recently. But I only have 2 contributions to this. Coach of the Year, Nate McMillan in Indiana. I think he's done a hell of a job with all the injuries they've had, developing their talent a little
over
bit.
Michael Malone, that's the Nuggets coach, right?
Who's?
The Nuggets coach is Michael Malone.
Yeah, Mike Malone. Yeah. The reason why I like Nate McMillan is a coach with Victor Oladipo out. I mean, maybe I don't know. Like I thought he's done a really good job of handling it all with the rotation and be able to just. The East is a bad conference. Yes, I understand that, but I don't know. I thought he's done a good job. GM wise. The only thing I was going to mention is what Toronto was able to do at the trade deadline.
That was I would agree with GM because that was a very bold move that you wouldn't necessarily see.
Toronto never does anything like that. You know what I mean? Like bold moves.
And then they bet heavily on this year and trying to keep Kawhi in whole 9 yards. Like there's other teams that probably should break up their backcourt, but they won't do it. But Toronto, I would give their GM. That award, but the coach of the year
that didn't happen this season.
That's off season counts as this season, right?
Yeah, counts into the season.
I don't think so. I think it's just the season through the off season. I think it resets at the start of the season.
Well, that's an off season. That's still an off season move for this season because he didn't play on the team last year. They made a trade. Now he's on this. He would have to go.
Regardless, it doesn't matter.
I mean, he also fired Dwayne Casey, who's coach.
You get coach of the year, and then that wasn't good enough. I don't care.
The NBA happens all the time. It's happened 3 times in the past 10 years. I hate it. What's his name from the Grizzlies?
It was him.
Really
David Fizdale.
No, Fizdale was garbage. No,
I mean he's technically
before him.
He kind of technically happened, but it was Bobby Webster. Those 2 combinations, the Toronto's management in whole. Period. So either way, that's my 2 cents.
Coach of the year would have to go to the coach of the best team in the NBA, and that would be Budenholzer for the Milwaukee Bucks. Just what he's done with that team, the turnaround. You could possibly have coach of the year MVP and Defensive Player of the Year all on the same organization, which is phenomenal.
Yeah, Milwaukee doesn't get those kind of accolades normally.
I was thinking of George Karl, Mike.
Oh, George Karl.
He won Coach of the Year for the Nuggets, got fired right after.
Yeah, but George Karl is a prickly person, from my understanding.
Yeah, he was not the nicest person, and then he got sick, and then he got a lot of sources say that he got a lot weirder after that and a lot angrier after that. So you could possibly have Coach of the Year.
All right, there you go.
I made such a valid point that Roger wanted to replay the point I just had, which it happens.
All right.
As we go to R, I knew R was next. You didn't need to tell me.
All right.
I knew it.
I was alley-ooping it to you. That's what I was doing.
The NBA playoff seeding is just about finished. Even though we have a couple of games, we know who's going to make it, basically, and who not. You are any team currently in the playoffs. Who would be your dream first-round matchup?
So I can answer for Mike here, the Pistons, because the Pistons suck. That's my Mike Proe impression. LeBron James sucks. That's all I got.
These are both true, but we'll get.
I'll give you a nightmare situation right now, and that's Denver and Oklahoma. OKC. I think OKC, on paper right now, Denver is the better team, but I think OKC is going to give Denver a lot of run for their money.
I actually totally disagree. I think the Nuggets are going to turn it up in the playoffs, but I can tell you that the Pacers, I want to play the Pacers, and I'm sorry to completely contradict you, Roger. Nate McMillan was doing a good job, and now they're in free fall. They're the 6th seed, or no, they're the 5th seed right now, right? And Boston's not playing that well either, and they still got passed up by Boston. I would love to play the Pacers. They're running out of steam, and I don't think whoever they play, they're losing in the first round.
Okay.
I am the Utah Jazz, and I'm the 5th seed currently. I would love to play the 4th seed currently, the Portland Trailblazers.
They're hot, too. 9-1 the last time.
Who, the Jazz? Yeah. Oh, regardless of their record, C.J. McCollum, when we talk about Yusuf Nurkic going down last week, we failed to mention that Portland is already without C.J. McCollum. So he can be back for the first round of playoffs, but you don't have your number 2 person on your team, and you don't have your number 3 person on your team. So there's nobody else on that team that anybody feels besides Damian Lillard. I would love to play the Portland Trailblazers just because that should be a hands-down first-round win.
Yeah, in terms of even, I watched the Trailblazers last week against the Pistons. They couldn't hit a broadside of a barn at that point. So, all right. So,
anybody else?
No.
All right. So,
I got it ready.
So yeah, get that going. So as we lead up to this, what the hell? Oh, it's my sunglasses. As we lead up to this fine audio, I've been,
Dominant
Hey, pause it. And then, so for S&E, we're gonna do a little a Pistons topic, and since this week Sunday is the 15th anniversary of their 2004 championship, I would like to share with the class the reason why I hate the Detroit Pistons.
I'm pretty sure I've already heard this story.
You probably have, but not in this format because I haven't played this audio. But my favorite player, my favorite team, best franchise in the world, the Los Angeles Lakers, were killing it, and then the Pistons beat them and broke up my favorite duo of all time. And yes, they probably had problems, but it's in my eyes, it's the Pistons' fault, and therefore I'm blaming the Pistons, and I have not forgave them ever since then, and I throw shade on the Pistons any chance that I could. But here's some interesting audio from Shaq and Kobe. They had an interview a couple years back, and it's pretty interesting, their take on that series.
Okay, so let's see.
23-30.
Got it.
Are you sure it has nothing to do with Kobe Bryant's ego?
The old pressures of they're not winning, and that was gone. Fast forward a little bit. We come create a super team. Gary called. We make it back to the finals.
Between the circle, snaps the pass to Rip. He'll step up, baseline left. But follows it up with a flush. The Pistons smash the Lakers in 5.
On the Pistons thing, that's my fault because I didn't get us prepared to run our automatics. I didn't get Gary, I didn't get Carl, I didn't get the new guys on board enough to be able to execute properly. And we got to Detroit and it forced us to play our offense 94 feet and we weren't ready. And we couldn't do it. And everything just capitulated from there. And that sits with me. That sits with me because we should have won that.
Easily.
Yep.
Ben Wallace guarded me.
That's ridiculous. See, what they did, the whole strategy was move the pressure up.
Yeah.
If you move the pressure up, it takes away Shaquille as a threat because now they have to harbor the ball up the court with pressure on the perimeter. So now that forces Shaq up. So now if he has to catch the ball at the top of the key for our automatics, he's not in the paint. Now that takes up all the seconds, all the time in the world to be able to trap him. Now you got to swing it. Now you're running late on the clock. You got to force up a shot. And that was their whole plan. And I could have done a better job in leading us to counter it, man. It sucks.
The Detroit Pistons have just shocked the Los Angeles Lakers.
I dislike you more than I ever have, Mike. You're blaming the Pistons because they took your super team and they're like, hey, fuck you, we know exactly how to fight you, and they did. So you hate them because they were better than you. That is petty as hell. Hey. They had the exact blueprint to do it, and you hate them for it?
It could be any situation. Like, I love Will and Jada right now. If some other actress came in and broke that couple up, I would hate them too for the rest of eternity. It doesn't really matter.
But that's different.
That's completely different. This was an actual competition.
Hey,
you're supposed to be like. Well, that makes no sense.
Their fault. It's their fault.
Like,
my couple broke.
Oh man! Hey!
Do you also hate the 2001 Arizona Diamondbacks for winning the World Series over the New York Yankees?
No, because he's Yankee fan. He doesn't care.
I didn't really care about. That didn't really break up any team.
I'm just trying to see where your stand is, where your loyalties lie. Is your loyalty to super teams or just the Lakers?
I think it's the super teams.
It's the Lakers.
He likes Alabama.
Wait, okay, I'm getting two different answers. Which one's true?
It's what he thinks and what we think are two different things. That's all.
But they pinpoint like it's
all of Mike's favorite teams are the teams that are on top right now, except for the Lakers. The Lakers are garbage.
That's what they say. They don't ever mention all the teams that I do like that aren't on top.
Because you only talk about the Lakers in Alabama.
You never mention any other teams besides the teams that are on top.
Do we have any reason to talk about the Seattle Mariners? No. Do we have any?
Actually, yeah. Seattle Mariners are like a mess. They're so fun to talk about.
Not to mention,
they score 18 runs one game, and then they'll go 10 games without scoring.
Not to mention, 2 weeks ago we had Ichiro on, and you didn't really mention your love for Seattle then.
Ichiro?
Am I right?
I don't know Ichiran, so I didn't bring up Ichiran.
Oh man, it's getting like that.
Ichiro. Wow. Okay, so you didn't mention your love for him, but you didn't mention anything about Seattle. Am I right, Papchak?
No, he did. He
actually
did.
I actually did. I'm the one who did.
But then you guys started naming random players from the last 10 years.
I actually put it on the show sheet.
He did, but the thing is, I don't remember you mentioning Seattle before that.
Yeah, there we go.
Because my favorite player, I did mention it because my favorite two players all time in baseball, Randy Johnson and Ken Griffey Jr., best Mariners all time.
He did say that on that episode, in all fairness to him.
I think that's everybody's favorite Seattle players of all time.
Guys, we bust chops on this show.
Yeah,
that's what we do.
Yeah, that's what we do.
That's
exactly.
Well, regardless.
You bust chops, but then Roger's over here naming a lineup from 2006. Like, yeah, do you know any of them?
You remember their best player from 1976? No, not a real fan.
You're not a real fan.
Well, they were a franchise then. They weren't a franchise until 77. So anyway.
So
I love his trivia knowledge. Every now and again.
That was awesome.
So to break down what they said, how do you feel about their talk about the Detroit?
Look,
since I didn't talk about the horse, I'm not going to talk during horse at all for the rest of this because I don't follow basketball. That series made me like basketball for a year. It was the greatest version of basketball I've ever seen in my life, and it was awesome.
Larry Brown put on a clinic that we will never see again because after that, David Stern made sure that defensive basketball, boring battle basketball like that wasn't going to happen because, he has said publicly he would rather have the Lakers in Boston every time or Lakers. But no,
Lakers.
He's actually said that. He said if he could have the Lakers, he would. But no, it's I like the conversation they had too because Shaq was talking coherently. You could understand him clearly, and Kobe taking responsibility for that too, being the team quote unquote captain. I don't know, added for an interesting conversation.
Okay, but let me also just say that this is what the greatest players of all time are going to say about any finals or anything in any sport they ever lost.
About it?
Yes. Oh, man, yeah, that was my fault, man. I should have done better. Especially the greats. All of them talk about stuff like that. So I don't even necessarily put that much stock into it. They're mad because they lost.
they weren't even speaking angrily. It was like they knew what they did.
Well, because it was 15 years ago,
and they won 2 more each after that.
Yeah, so it's just they're always going to talk. When somebody asks you about that, you can't be like, I won 2 more. Well, I guess you could, but they're going to be like, oh no, I really wanted that one. Because that's what you do as an athlete. That's athletes.
But they also talked more in depth later on about the same thing. Like that was like the nail in the coffin, that series. You know what I mean?
Well, I guess you could, but they're going to be. Oh,
so you
had such a good point.
So I
had to make it again.
But I found it interesting. Yes, it is Tom Petty that I still hate the Pistons. I wasn't really on board with them then.
Yeah.
And then that just made you know what? F those guys, 100%. And
I played a good game and
I've been
kept
throwing
no
shade
stars.
The reason why I like the Pistons, I mean, here's the thing too. When looking back, when last Saturday when I went to the Little Pistons night at the Pal, it was my first time at Little Caesars Arena. It was my first time there.
Did you like it?
No.
Right.
Okay.
I want to ask you about that. Go on with your point. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. But it was to celebrate the second championship season, and it was like the beginning of like the Joe Dumars. Joe Dumars wasn't there, so it was kind of strange. But it's almost like an afterthought now, in a way that the guy who architected these teams is kind of like forgotten about, and it was weird not seeing him there. And so that's
because he contributed to the team after that, and not necessarily in a good way.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what he's most remembered for. So
he signed Charlie Villanueva and Ben Gordon in the same offseason for like
a lot of money.
$30 million combined or some.
One of the worst contracts of all time.
More money than all of us are going to make for our entire lives.
But I just have another anniversary. Yes, you know what yesterday was?
What's that?
The 26th anniversary of Chris Webber calling timeout on purpose.
Oh, that was Kurt Cobain died 25 years ago yesterday. Yeah. Thought that's what you were going with. I was like, whoa, that's weird.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do want to talk.
I mean, Chris Webber calling timeout on purpose is worse.
Not really, no.
I love his willingness to try, though.
It depends how you feel about Nirvana, I guess, right?
Actually, no, because I hate Nirvana, and I disagree. Well, I don't hate them, but I think they are one of the single most overrated bands in the history of music.
You know what? I'm sorry, but I hate to say this to you. That's a millennial point of view.
Bull crap. I thought this. Why?
Look how many millennials are walking around in Nirvana shirts.
Seriously. If anything, it's an anti-millennial thing.
Yeah,
because it's a millennial thing to be like, oh, Kurt Cobain, man. I'm going to do some heroin, bro.
All right, no. Let's slide back to the NBA for a second. The reason why I think that is a millennial thing to say about
it's good.
Kurt, first of all those kids wearing Hot Topic shirts, they don't know what the hell they're wearing at half the time.
Bull crap,
my friend. No.
Dude, I go to shows I go to holes in the wall and see bands, and the whole crowd is freaking 19 and 20-year-olds. They're like, dude, have you heard this dude gargle in the shower? Because, I heard this 6-second clip of it, and it was fucking incredible. No, they know more about music because the information is more readily available, and music scene constantly grows.
I understand that. Then why? Okay, so in terms of them wearing those shirts, then, if you were talking about them wearing the shirts all the time, you really think they have any idea of Nirvana versus, they're just a good band versus, I don't know. I still think about my time in radio.
But this is why they're super overrated, Roger.
Well, I think about my time where I saw a kid wearing a Wu-Tang Clan shirt, and I said, nice shirt, and he's like, yeah, I like the art. I'm like, well, what do you know about 36 Chambers? He couldn't answer the fucking question.
Okay, but let me counter with this. As a grown adult, as an 18-year-old, can't you just wear whatever the fuck you want?
Yeah,
isn't this just the same conversation as, I hate when people say that a grown man can't wear a sports jersey.
I'm wearing one right now. I'll do it forever.
They can wear what they want, but my point is Nirvana, well, I forgot why this started. Nirvana's overrated. Please and thank you. You're welcome.
I disagree with you.
It started because yesterday was Kurt Cobain's suicide.
Yeah,
Chris Webber called timeout on purpose. That's just that.
That's why Kurt Cobain committed suicide.
Yeah. He had money on that game.
Yeah, guys, that's a kind of dark road that.
No timeouts remaining. All he calls is too many timeouts. That's a technical foul.
Bang.
Call a timeout.
The actual audio of Kurt Cobain.
He got by with the walk, and Jimmy calls the he calls the timeout. He doesn't realize that's missing.
All right, guys.
For real.
But for real, look, I disagree.
R.I.P.
I adamantly disagree with you that Nirvana's overrated.
Do you disagree with me that
I like
Chris Webber called timeout on purpose?
I disagree with that too because I think Chris Webber's an idiot.
Yeah.
Flat out. He got caught up in the moment. Shit happens.
You think he's just dumb? You don't think he just got paid for it?
He got caught up in the moment, man. Like, that's one of those things that, like, I will never, like, the thing is, I don't know why why would he call it timeout on purpose when Michigan at that point was trying to get over the Fab Five, like, get the Fab over Fab Five. I have to sit and close my eyes and actually think
English
about
with Roger.
Yeah, English. Shut up. Listen, Fab Five, to get him over as just more of a hype thing, as a legitimate, good college basketball
Or
team.
100 G's in your pocket if you lose this game.
He was already going to get paid as a draft pick. Why would he need that extra money?
I'm not buying that either.
I don't buy it. I don't buy it.
I don't think it's that hard to believe that Chris Webber is a dumbass.
Yeah, and not to mention, like, if it was Jimmy King, okay, I understand that. Jimmy King, not going to go in the NBA. Chris Webber, automatically was going to go in the NBA. Just saying.
Money now is better than money later, regardless of what you
say. How much do you
winning now is better than anyway.
And was that his last year, though? Was that his last year?
That was his last year. That was his last year.
Do we know? Are we just...
No, Chris Webber, okay. That was Chris Webber's final year.
Why don't you just answer the question instead of, like, letting it go to silence?
No, it was an actual question. Was that his last year?
Well,
I'm asking you a question.
Well, I wouldn't have asked you the question if I had the answer.
That was his last
That's
year.
not true at all. You're the king of... Well, do you know the answer? Looking around at everybody. Well, I do.
Yeah, Chris Webber's final game was the timeout.
So he did.
So why? But how much?
So he got drafted less than 2 months later.
Exactly.
Less than 2 months later.
He didn't need the money. He was going to go first overall. That was going to happen.
How many billionaires still do Ponzi schemes because they want more money? It doesn't really
Again,
matter. What's it matter if he's going to get
But
money
why
later?
would he call timeout on purpose? That's going to ruin his legacy. That would be stupid.
He didn't say after the thing, I called it on purpose. He didn't think it was going to ruin his legacy.
But why would he call it on purpose? It doesn't make any sense. There's no tin
So what
foil
you're
here
saying
with that.
is people who might go to the NBA have never thrown a game for money? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying. That's not what I'm saying at all. I just say
he's saying that particular situation. We're talking about one
I understand
incident.
that. Okay, but he's
you
saying,
don't because you keep saying anybody else would
No, but
do it.
he's saying, why would he if he was going to get paid anyways?
Yes, why would he?
Yeah.
He literally was about to win the national championship.
He was getting money from Ed Martin.
So what I'm saying is, it doesn't matter if he's going to get drafted in a couple of months. If somebody says, hey, if you throw this game, I'll give you 100 G's. Well, I'm going to make a couple of million in a couple of months. Who gives a damn?
Okay, but not everything's about money either.
Exactly.
He was playing for a national championship. That doesn't matter at all? Why do you play sports? To win. Why was he doing that? Like, so why play basketball? Oh, I got paid, so you want to just take the Melo route? Is that what everybody should do? Oh, I got my paycheck. Cool. Well, basketball sucks now. Because, Melo did it for money, so now he's got his money, so now he doesn't need to play anymore.
But what
That's
you're
bullshit.
saying is there's no possibility of,
of
a person throwing a game for money.
I never said that. I'm talking about Chris Webber. I'm not talking about any other person on the planet.
Isn't he a person, though? When I say any person to throw a game for money.
I never said nobody would do it. I'm saying in Chris Webber's incident, in his exact scenario, why he shouldn't.
Why? Because it's going to the national championship. You don't think more money's bet on that game than any other
Why
game?
is it you can't let go about money? That's the thing.
Yeah. No, but Pro, here's the thing.
Mike and Mike debate 20-year-olds at
the thing is, what's irrelevant here is that shut up. The thing is I'm trying to say is that for you're trying to be hung up on the money aspect. To me, why would he go ahead and outside of the money, take that money aside? He has had a humor about it since it happened. At first, it was not going to talk about it, but post-career-wise, he's talked about it with humor as a stupid mistake. There is to me, the way they played that game, I watched that game live. That was a tightly contested game. If you're going to blow the game, there's other ways to blow it. Yeah. Whether it's like what happened in the 1950s with the old NIT tournament where teams were throwing it off and they had to change the NIT tournament because it was literal scandal because teams were throwing it off. St. John's got in trouble for it. The University of Toledo's got in trouble for it. But there's no evidence. There's been nothing that's been said behind the scenes that Chris Webber did on purpose. Usually there's some conspiracy or some big mouth person out there or Mitch Albom lying on a column about it. No, some people got that joke. But anyways, my point is, there's been nothing conspiracy theory-wise or anything that's been released that he called it on fucking purpose. That's my point. Money aside, it doesn't.
Get your commemorative Sports Radio Detroit aluminum foil now on sale.
No, get your I was at the debate mug.
I don't. As you're saying that there's no thing, I just found 8 articles that saying that he did this shit on purpose. So what I'm saying, but what I'm saying,
I can find 8 articles that say he did.
But I'm just saying, his point was there hasn't been one thing released that he did it on purpose. And all I'm saying is, regardless of the game, okay, the higher the game, higher the money bet, the higher somebody else is going to pay somebody to throw the game. It's not out the realm of possibility of people getting paid to do things that they shouldn't do.
But you don't have evidence, and that's our whole point. It's not out of the realm of possibility, sure, but you do not have any sort of proof at all,
and you
just
don't have it, and you don't have any
innocent until proven guilty.
George Bush called the timeout.
Agree to disagree, and that's we'll just leave it at that.
Kurt Cobain committed suicide 25 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And Mike thinks that
was
Nirvana,
murdered. Come on.
Well, Mike thinks that Nirvana's overrated. I don't think Nirvana's overrated, and that we'll leave it at that. So
let me revise.
They benefited from a death. How about that? Can we agree on that? At least
that's what
both sides say that.
Any band that has their shirt for sale in Kohl's is a little bit overrated.
And I have a Kurt Cobain Funko Pop now. Mike,
I need to clarify. I don't actually hate Nirvana. I just like saying that for the shock value. I'm sorry. I don't love them either, but
Yeah,
people that don't like Nirvana love telling people they don't like Nirvana. I've noticed. Or the Beatles.
Well, you know what?
Oh no, the Beatles is so much worse. My roommate, my roommate does that all the time. Anytime anybody brings up their favorite bands, he's got to be like, "Well, I hate the Beatles." So,
well, people do that to be contrary to me. I mean, everybody talks about people think people who really know me think that my favorite band is only the Police, but in reality,
it's a good favorite band.
It is a good favorite band, but I have other favorite bands as well. So,
dog, I've been tagged with the Linkin Park thing for 15 years. I've listened to them in 5.
Yeah, baby, you've been riding it very hard.
That's really embarrassing.
So, we speaking of this,
the people. It's so much so that when I'm not even on shows, people talk about it. I'm just like, I haven't listened to them in 3-4 years.
It's a good running joke, but so
speaking of suicide, Linkin Park.
I know. Speaking of college basketball, we're talking about college basketball here. As Michigan State quote unquote upsets Duke, advances to the Final Four, but really was an upset. Pro, did you put that question in?
Yes.
Yeah, but that was. I would like to say before we start that topic that it was completely stupid for the NCAA to put the top number 1 seed and the top number 2 seed in the same damn bracket. You know what I mean? So now we have a Final Four of 2 football schools and another team that nobody really gives a shit about, and then Michigan State. You know what I mean? So regardless of anything, this is not going to be a highly watched national championship, whatever happens on Monday. Yes, I hope Michigan State wins, but you got Auburn and
Virginia.
Yeah.
No, what's the other SEC? What's the other Texas Tech and Auburn? You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is like those are football schools. Nobody cares.
Texas Tech isn't a football school. Texas Tech is a nothing school.
Yeah.
It's more football than anything.
I would agree with Pro on that. Texas Tech is more known for
anywhere
football.
in Texas is going to be more football than.
But it was that's
Yeah,
completely
true,
stupid. That could have been the national championship game there, and it probably should have been the national championship game.
That would have been a great national championship.
I completely disagree. I think Texas Tech is the best team in the tournament and has been, except for the first round.
But you'll say so. You got Texas. Let's just say Texas Tech and Auburn make it to the national championship.
Well, I will. Okay, you have irrational hatred for teams. Auburn is one team that I have a super irrational hatred towards because I watched Cam Newton carve up my team, and then the year after, a dude that didn't even make it in the NFL.
Let's side that conversation for a second. Let's talk about Michigan State and Duke, because the Final Four is set, and as we kind of lead into what Michigan State had to do to get there, Mike was talking about. Michigan State played a hell of a game. You're right, the seeding was terrible, but Virginia and Auburn, Babchek, talk about the road for those teams to get there. I mean, in Virginia, by the way, this is the first time that Virginia is actually living up to the seeding.
Well,
in a long time.
It's because last year they had all defense and no offense, so they had to win by just slowing you down. Now they have shooters. Now they have Key and the transfer, who's the best player on their team. It makes sense. They're way better than they were last year, even though they were the number 1 overall seed last year. It just goes to show like how good every other team was, all the other number 1 seeds were this year. But I don't know. I like Virginia a lot. I just can't get over what they've done in the past. Like, I still wouldn't be able to pick them to win.
And there's a 6 o'clock game, a State's the 8:49 game. But by the way, if you speak of Michigan State fans, if you're a fan of Michigan State, go to our website, sportsradiodetroit.com, and then go to SRD fans, and you can buy some Michigan State gear. And we get a kickback for it. So if you're in the Michigan State gear, buy your Final Four gear through us at sportsradiodetroit.com/SRD/fans. Or, --fans. So, but I want to get that plug in there. But, Pro, what about you? What did you see in Michigan State's game against Duke? It stood out to you.
The thing that I knew, the recipe to beat Duke is to make them shoot threes, because nobody on the team can shoot threes. They've gotten worse as season went on, and they don't play well against teams who have a lot of continuity. And that's exactly what beat them. You know what I mean? Like, there's certain plays that if you knew so-and-so had your back, like on the final play of the inbound, you know what I mean? Like, you clearly saw nobody was communicating with each other and led to, Cassius to just run around with the ball and let time go out. But you've seen that all game long, and that was the recipe to beat Duke, and they got it done. As simple as that. They make them shoot threes, and you have a veteran team, so you should have won that game.
Do you think it was fair that Michigan fans had unrealistic expectations of the Wolverines? Because I thought the Wolverines were maybe a Sweet 16 team at best.
They ran into the perfect matchup for them. Like, I said this all week last week.
Didn't they play them? Like the same games of last year. Didn't they play Texas Tech last year?
Oh no, they didn't. I thought they played Texas A&M last year.
Oh, another Texas school.
Yeah, but maybe. But regardless, Texas Tech is the best defensive team in the country. Michigan doesn't have shooters. So when you meet those two together, Texas Tech, I knew Texas Tech was going to destroy them. I didn't realize that Michigan would only score 39 points, but I knew, like, it was clear as day when Michigan, like, their one flaw is shooting, and the one thing Texas Tech is good at is defending. Like, it was nothing. It was a boring game because it was over in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, and they
Texas Tech was the perfect matchup for them.
There's not a single shooter on Michigan that anybody fears. You know what I mean? And then yes, Simpson is a great point guard, but he's like 4'11".
I would leave him open all day anyway because
nobody fears him. He's got a weird shot. You know what I mean? So he's not consistent. So there's nobody on that team that anybody feared scoring wise, and that was their demise. You know what I mean? So when you can't really score a lot anyways, and you're going against a defensive team, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah. Well, either way, but I know I watched quite a bit of that Purdue game was phenomenal. Did you guys watch any of that Purdue game?
Okay. Actually, I just need to tell you the two games. Yeah, that day, Purdue versus Virginia, and then what was the other one that day? I can't even believe I can't remember. Auburn and Kentucky.
Yeah.
Those two games were unbelievable. I can't remember the last time I enjoyed basketball that much. Like, I'm serious. I was glued to the screen, or when I was driving, I was listening to the radio. I would literally pull over when I got too excited because I'm like, I need to just, like, focus on this. Those were some of the best Elite Eight games ever. So, like, that's why when Mike said the national championship game isn't going to be, like, the most watched, I don't even care. The Elite Eight was awesome. Actually, all four of those games were awesome.
Yeah.
Honestly. Every single one. The Gonzaga Texas Tech game, another one. That was the best one of the four, honestly, I think. But that's because I'm kind of sick of all the Zion stuff. I just want to see him in the NBA now. But that Texas Tech Gonzaga game, and I said that all week last week too, number one offense versus number one defense, it was awesome. And I don't know, we're spoiled. The Elite Eight was incredible.
Yeah. And to me, that's what makes college basketball worthwhile right there. So that's – but anything else before we move on? For Final Four prediction-wise, what do you got?
Yeah, I want to break down some of these matchups. Like, we got Michigan State versus Texas Tech. I'm trying to look. I think, again, Texas Tech matches up really well with Michigan State because what they're gonna try to do is they have to bottle up Cassius Winston, which is a lot easier said than done. But Michigan State they're getting a lot of contributions from guys that have never done it before, especially at this stage. And I know Goins has been there forever, and so has McQuaid and everybody. But I think Texas Tech really matches up well against them too. And I think that it's going to be way better of a game than that Michigan-Texas Tech game. But I see Texas Tech pulling it out like 60-55 or something like that. Or no, a little higher than that, 70-65.
You know what? Look, I think State's got that momentum thing going, but I mean,
Texas. I disagree. Texas Tech has that momentum thing going way harder. Chris Beard, I think, like not counting accomplishments, I just mean right now. I think Chris Beard's the best coach in the Final Four based on this season.
No, Chris Beard's done a fantastic job.
You can argue Izzo too, but I'm just saying what I think.
I think that the reason why I thought Izzo, in this case, give the advantage to Izzo, because that experience he has over them. But the Texas Tech, you talk about, it's not a traditional school, but does have a history of being a basketball town. So, but either way, Lubbock, yeah. I mean, it was so much of a basketball school that Bobby Knight was there for a minute. So, but either way, I mean, also because he couldn't get a job anywhere else. But either way, that was, by the way, and kind of people forget. Texas Tech has a history with the women's Final Four in 1993. Well, Cheryl Swoops went there. She was a successful WNBA player, and that says something. I mean, but this team is set up with the ability to stop State. But I don't know. I think I'm going to go with State kind of winning it. It's close. I think it's going to be the better game between Auburn and Virginia. And for the record, I'm not a big Bruce Pearl fan.
I hate Bruce Pearl.
All right, thank you. I do too.
Although I
respect him. I like him.
Why? Because he was terrible at his first school. In fact, like monumentally terrible at Tennessee. He goes over to Auburn, cheats his ass off, gets away with it because his assistant goes to jail, and now the team's good. No, he's like the luckiest bastard in the world. How does he pull that? Like, you respect him for pulling that off, then I'll agree with you. But God, I hate the man. That's what he did.
Yeah.
I mean, if you ain't trying to cheat, you ain't trying to win.
Okay, but he got caught, and he got a scapegoat to go to jail for him. Like, that doesn't happen in typical situations like this. Yeah. Chuck Person's in jail.
I believe sometimes in our judicial system, and they got the right man. Simple as that, If he was guilty, he would be guilty.
Yeah, because
I don't believe he would still be the coach of a team if he was guilty of anything.
What?
He's trying to bring this up. I'm guessing he's alluding to Rick Pitino, but no. Bruce Pearl's also cheated. He's like Calipari. He's cheated everywhere he's gone.
It's funny when I listen to this show. I'm always like, man, you guys are so mean to Pro, and then I realize, she's trolling all of you.
Wait, you must not have listened like a year ago when that was all them to me at first, and then I kind of flipped the tables.
Oh no, I did, and I felt it then. But then when I came here, you weren't here.
Oh yeah, fair.
Yeah. But either way, but Auburn, Virginia, Mike, what do you think about that matchup?
Auburn sucks. Virginia's winning. That's it.
Yeah. Because
Yankees suck, Jets suck, Knicks suck.
Auburn lost their number one person on their team, and statistics show that yes, one game after you losing your best player, people do band together and play well, and the contributions go around equally, and they play a little bit better.
He wasn't their number one guy. He was averaging like 6 points a game. He's just their best inside defender. Okiki?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not their best player, not even close. It's just he's a defensive presence.
One of their best players. You know what I mean? But you can't do it 2 games in a row. You know what I mean? They've made it thus far. Happy for them, but they don't have the numbers to go against Virginia. So I mean, I probably won't even watch the game. If it's on, I'll watch it.
Dude, I couldn't disagree with you more. Okiki, he's defense. It's 7.5, 5.8, 1.1. That's what he does. That's great, but that's not unreplaceable. Yeah. That's not best player or second best player on the team. The thing about Auburn is that they don't have that. Well, Bryce Brown, of course, is probably their number one. But then after that, it's like they are a team. And I thought it's kind of the same way as Michigan State. They have a clear number one, and then everybody else is known for being a team. The reason Virginia's so intimidating is because they have 3 guys that would be probably one of the best players on any of the other teams. Because you got Jarrett Culver, Cassius Winston, and then Bryce Brown are probably number one on all their respective teams. But then Key is probably up there too, DeAndre Key for Virginia. Virginia has, I think, arguably the most talent out of the 4 remaining teams right now because Michigan State has injuries and Texas Tech does it differently.
And their schedule too. They played in the ACC, and that's a tough schedule, and that should be mattering.
Yeah, they beat Duke. They beat Duke twice, I think. They beat UNC once, or no, they beat Duke and UNC once. I don't know. I'm trying not to buy too much into Virginia because They burned me before. I had them as my national champion last year. So if you can imagine, I don't trust them at all. But I don't know. Yeah. I see Texas Tech beating Virginia in the championship game, and if that's true, Mike, you're absolutely right. No one's going to watch that game.
Oh, you think Texas Tech is going to beat Michigan State?
Oh, yeah.
And at the time,
well, not easily, but yes, I do think.
At the time of Okiki's injury, he was shooting 73%, and he had a double-double. So he was like he's been leading the team in the tournament thus far, and yes, he's one of their best defensive players. And since the tournament started, he's one of their key contributors. So you lose one of your key contributors and your best defensive player on a squad. I mean,
Michigan State. Michigan State's fine. Everybody thought, oh, we lost Langford, we're screwed. They've lost couple players, and they're fine still because coaching matters. And Tony Bennett's I'm not going to give Bruce Pearl any credit. No,
he's a fine recruiter.
He's probably got a couple of that's perfect. Anytime anybody asks me about Bruce Pearl, he recruits well. But no, what it comes down to is. I kind of ruined my whole point with that. I can't give Bruce Pearl credit. You know what? No, Mike, I agree with you.
Whoa.
That's it. I hate Bruce Pearl more than I want to disagree with Mike.
That's saying something. So,
again, irrational hatred. If I have to pick two schools, it's Tennessee and Auburn. I hate them both.
Yeah, they're in SEC country.
Literally, I've hated Tennessee my whole life because I was like, why are they ranked 24? They're 5-7. Every year, they're ranked in football and in basketball preseason. Always. Them and USC, two of the most overhyped teams in the country. Anyway, tangents, but back to Virginia, Auburn. I don't think Auburn doesn't stand a chance. I think it's going to be a better game than Mike's giving it credit for because you still had to get to the Final Four.
They're coming in hot.
They are. And
they're like the Cinderella story.
You know why it'll be a good game? Because there's only 2 games. So, yes, it'll be a good game, and a lot of people will be playing, and there'll be a lot of effort on the floor, so it'll be a good game. But I still, regardless of anything, the NCAA messed this up.
Wait, but now I was hoping you'd bring that back up because that is a whole nother separate issue. What it sounds like is you want the NCAA to influence the games. So why are you mad about Chris Webber doing that if it seems like you want somebody to interfere with the games to make better matchups?
No, it just doesn't make sense to have the number 1 seed and the top number 2 seed in the same bracket.
So that's not on that's on the selection committee, and that means that they didn't think that Michigan State was the number 1 overall 2 seed.
Well, no, they already announced that Michigan State was the top number 2 seed. You can't have the top 1 seed and the top 2 seed in the same bracket.
So you know what it is?
They haven't done that before.
Then that means they didn't trust either Michigan State or Duke to make it to the Final Four.
They already had their bracket filled out, regardless of the last game.
Okay,
which is. And
they do it every year, though. Like we all argue about this every year. That
yeah,
they're
we
done
complained
with their
last year that
they were done before the Michigan won the Big Ten championship.
Yeah, they did it a week early, so we complained about that. But maybe that's beneficial to the selection committee because a week later they already had their minds made up.
What I'm saying is, I'm losing my train of thought here. I'm sorry.
Steam coming off there.
But at the same time, I'm happy for all the teams. I'm not knocking them. Everybody tried very hard.
Wait, I know what I was going to say. That means that they didn't trust. It's because Duke and Michigan State are 2 of the blue bloods that lose in the first round, especially the past 7, 8 years. They lose in the early. So what they and this is just a guess. I have no evidence, but this makes sense to me logically. They stuck them in the same bracket to ensure that they would play. You can't stick Virginia in there because they play in the same conference, right? Can't stick UNC over there because, again, same conference. They tried to avoid that with the big teams, and even though they stuck the Big Ten against themselves. But anyway, they didn't think that Michigan State or Duke were going to make the Final Four to get to that point. Because you're right, they would meet in the national championship game if they did the bracket correctly. But that means that they don't believe in both of those teams making it, and that's a matchup that they absolutely wanted to have.
Well, I don't think that's a fact because if you're looking at it from an entertainment side of it, you want Zion there as far as possible. So you want to give them the road less traveled. Why would you put the overall number 2 seed in the same bracket as number 1? If Michigan State is a big draw, and you would like best case scenario Zion make it to the championship game, then you wouldn't put those two in the same bracket.
Well, maybe they thought Duke would win. Maybe that's how they decide these things. They look at matchups later on, and they're like, all right, let's choose the best matchup. And it was going to be that, or Michigan versus UNC, maybe they didn't want, or Michigan State versus UNC, maybe they didn't want that because UNC crushed Duke twice. And obviously you had to put those two teams on the opposite sides of the bracket. I think there's more than one reason to put them together, and I think it's to make sure they actually play. I think that was the number one game that they wanted, besides UNC Duke in the national championship game. I think that that's what they wanted too.
You think if they can go back in time, they would change that up?
No.
You would think they would still want to keep Virginia, Texas Tech, Duke, and Auburn as the Final Four?
Okay, that is no. Why? The fun of the tournament is the upsets, so absolutely not. The fun of the tournament is that, so do you want all chalk? Do you want number one to go all the way? That's not fun.
There was not a lot of upsets.
The chaos.
He just
of the
said
tournament.
he hates the Pistons because the Lakers lost to them. So
yeah, that's a good point. That's what you're saying. You want the number one teams to make it all the way. Well, they have to play better to do it.
Those are the only teams he roots for.
But at the same time, you say that, but at the same time, you also just admitted that Auburn versus Texas Tech is going to be a boring.
No, I said Virginia versus Texas Tech.
Virginia, Texas
and it's
Tech.
because it's defense. We get that all the time. You know what else was a boring game that we thought was going to be amazing? UNC versus Michigan State in Detroit. Thought that game was going to be incredible. I was on vacation, and me and my dad literally left the rest of our family to go watch the game, and we were done in 10 minutes. We were like, we literally were wanting this all tournament, and this is what you get. So that's why it's dangerous to play matchups, because you can get incredible games out of teams that you don't expect, and then you can get boring ass games out of the Blue Bloods like that year. And I will. That was. I stopped watching college basketball the year after that. I just gave up for a year. I was like, this is awful. Like, I don't want to watch another national championship like that.
I 100% thought you were going to say the Super Bowl this year. When you were like,
I did too.
I was ready for it because I was going to jump in and be like, yeah, 100%. That's what happens when two number ones meet, like a trash game that no one wants to watch.
Fair.
13-6 or whatever it was.
That's what I like about baseball. Sometimes that parity exists in there for that to happen. But either way, let's move on.
So yeah, I guess the point. I'll wrap it up. My point was the NCAA committee knows that it's dangerous to play matchups like that, especially for the Final Four, because they don't know.
But
they do.
When it comes out to the game, I'm going to watch the game because I am on a sports radio show called the SRD Roadshow on KRadioBroadcasting.com.
So you wouldn't watch it if you weren't?
No. If it's Texas Tech Auburn, probably not. It's going to be.
I'm not on a radio show, I'm not watching it.
If there was,
yeah, but you wouldn't.
If there's nothing else on TV,
no,
got nothing
basketball.
else going on. Yes, I'll put it on. But realistically, if I didn't have to talk about it and need to talk about it, I wouldn't watch it. Unless Michigan State, I'll watch it because it's Michigan State. But
that's this is something else entirely. That's crazy. So you don't want to watch a national championship game for basketball?
But do you think I'm alone? Do you think I'm probably the only other person?
Not
in the
even
room?
close. But
okay, but the
matchup doesn't matter. Like, it's actually quite the opposite. I think people just watch national championship games sometimes. What I'm saying is I just like basketball. I like seeing the two best teams that just won 6 games to get to where they're at. I like seeing those teams play. They're the hottest teams in college.
So you're going to be super happy when Bruce Pearl wins the national championship?
Bruce Pearl's not going to win the national championship. He's losing to Virginia in the Final Four.
But what if he does?
He doesn't. He won't. Mike, I've been to the future, and I know 2 things. Bruce Pearl doesn't win the national championship, and the Lakers are going to suck next year, too.
You know what? I knew you were hiding DeLorean from us. I knew it.
No, actually, it's just a little tight car, and it only worked once, all right?
Okay.
It's like one of those red ones with the yellow. I had to cram in there, and I just put it in front of a train, three style. Yeah, and he just shoved me forward.
Yeah, and then because
Or if anybody's seen the show on Netflix, The Umbrella Academy, there's 2 hitmen that drive around and some busted.
It's a Hugo.
You seen what I'm talking about?
And you're talking about Evanescence, the show?
No,
that's what that show is. That show is Evanescence, the show. Evanescence and My Chemical Romance put into physical TV media.
Sounds like the worst thing of all time.
It's written by the lead singer. It's written by Gerard Way.
Oh,
it's written by the lead singer of My Chemical Romance.
It's pretty good.
It's not. It's very bad.
I've heard good things, but I haven't watched a single thing.
Either way.
I respect everybody's opinion to their own. I tried so hard. I watched every episode of the show. It never gets there. It bothers me so much because I want it.
It's interesting. So, and I kind of watch it with the family. The little one loves it, so I kind of watch it. I was like, all right,
with kids?
There's not too many. Yeah, there's some vulgar language in there, but she also watches Law and Order SVU. She needs to keep her brain tight.
Fair enough.
She's ready for the real world
You
situation.
need to know.
No, that show. The thing that bothers me about that show, and I'll ask you the same thing that everybody's like, "Oh, you should watch that show." What year is it on that show? As someone who watched it, what year is it on that show?
What show?
Oh, what year is it?
I don't even know what the hell we're talking
I don't.
about now.
Umbrella Academy.
Yeah, actually, I don't know what year it is.
If you don't even look it up, because they say what year it is, and that's what's annoying. It's all that like, oh, it's like 2018, but we only watch tube TVs and drive Yugos.
But
like,
yeah, I haven't
no,
seen
you're
too
not a
many-
hipster store. Come to life.
I actually haven't seen too many things that actually date the show in it. I just thought they just drove around in a busted ass vehicle just because.
No, it's just a bad show. I think it's that aesthetic of Gerard Way. All I've been watching lately, and I finally got Roger to be exposed to it last night, is Overwatch League. That was fun. He was looking at it like an old man looking at child stuff, just like, what? Why is what? It was the oldest I've ever seen you look.
I actually just had questions about it because I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, it was
What
just
is
like
it?
what
Overwatch
League.
game.
The video game?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Overwatch League though, like the
Okay.
All right, so moving on though, there's quite a bit going on in the NFL with, and this is
Never mind.
what I miss.
Nothing. I was just. Is there a lot going on in the NFL?
There's some.
Because
no. And apparently, I'm sorry, I was trying to make a segue.
But what I'm saying, Roger, is like we went way over just now, and I feel like we should choose one of our last two topics. I don't
That's
think
what
we
I
should do both. And I think we should do baseball. Is what I'm saying. I'm trying to help you, Roger.
I mean, but there's a couple of things we can run through. There's different headlines. Bob Quinn talking about
a show meeting out loud.
Bob Quinn talking about do you think that's a smoke screen? Do you actually think that when he talks about he's open for business of trading back for the 8th pick? Or do you? I mean, I don't believe anything of any GM says because
About the draft, yeah.
About the draft whatsoever. You know what I mean? But I hope they don't draft. I mean, there's a few mock drafts that say the Lions would take a tight end, which I would just be.
That'd piss me off.
Especially at 8.
They already saw they got Jesse James.
So I don't really see that. But
they got a guy who's going to play 4 weeks next year.
No, he'll be the starter. I mean,
for 4 weeks, and then he will get injured.
But I mean, we're going to talk about
going the
some NFL.
I don't think so.
Draft here in the weeks coming up. But an interesting story put out by Bleacher Report. Tyler Dunn talks about the downfall of.
I was just literally trying to get to that. And
of the Green.
But Roger, Mike.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Of the Green Bay Packers and the things that
you guys
their demise, and there's some really petty. There's some real petty stories going on in there about Mike McCarthy, the Green Bay Packers, and everything. I thought that was an interesting piece. Oh,
we are fumbling the glass.
We got glasses
Speaking
falling.
of football, good job.
So, Roger, did you read this piece?
What about what did he do?
So there was things. Okay, so during some of their team meetings, Mike McCarthy skipped the meetings for massages.
Okay,
the ones Robert Kraft was getting.
I don't know. He skipped meetings for massages. The GM repeatedly fell asleep in meetings. I'm just paraphrasing some of the. I read the piece. I'm just paraphrasing some of the topics. Aaron Rodgers didn't like the low IQ of Mike McCarthy. He said the wide receivers ran the same routes for 7 years and everybody knew it.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, any wide receiver who listened to Mike McCarthy, he would throw it in the opposite direction. And for some reason, Mike McCarthy thought that Aaron Rodgers needed to have a better relationship with his mother and confronted him about it and says, "Hey, you should call your mom. You guys should be if you're going to be a leader, you need to have a better relationship with your parents." Like
Aaron Rodgers said that to Mike McCarthy.
No, Mike McCarthy said that to Aaron Rodgers. Who doesn't matter who said it to who, but
right.
No one should say it to anybody.
What the hell does mama got to do with anything?
Unless you're asking.
I mean, I'm a mama's boy, but whatever. But I just don't get what the hell does me not having a relationship with my mama have to do with me playing sports, fool?
Yeah, no, I don't get
that's
that.
That's what that completely like. How high are you? Hey, hey, come here. I need you to. I don't like the way that you and your mom's relationship is. You should call her. Who are you?
Yeah.
Like, how do you sound right now? So
that sounds like the best way to immediately get any player to hate you.
And
like criticize their personal relationships.
And after reading this, I was like, Mike McCarthy might not ever get another head coaching job because of this.
He shouldn't.
You know what I mean?
He has like one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time,
and you only got one championship.
Sucked for most of it.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, they've had a rocky
10-6.
They've had a rocky relationship their entire time. You could tell that if they weren't successful, okay, yes, last year he was hurt. He got hurt early. He was playing through it. The year before that, he missed like the whole season because of injuries, and half the season prior to that. But they've hated each other more often than not. And the reason why he didn't get fired sooner than that is because they were successful and they did make it to the playoffs and everything. But I think he should have been fired way, way before that. Yes. And so does Aaron Rodgers as well. I mean, they fired one of his best friends, the quarterback coach, without even letting them know. So there was a lot going on in there. And like reading this piece was like, it was enlightening. Not that I really actually care about the Packers or anything, but to seeing all that, like, bro, if your coach is skipping meetings for a massage, GM falling asleep in meetings.
Yeah,
that's
bad luck.
And then I'm not pushing off the blame for anybody, but Aaron Rodgers not throwing in the direction of wide receivers who listen to the coach. Like, damn. And he said that roughly like 30% of the plays that Mike McCarthy called, Aaron Rodgers changed in the huddle.
Sounds like Aaron Rodgers is a smart man. He's going to probably be a good coach someday.
True that. You know what I mean? So, like,
is he though? Because it didn't really go that well for him, like the last couple of years.
True, but if you know that your coach is calling a bad play, why set up the rest of your team for failure?
You can only carry so hard. Like if your coach is actively making everything harder for you, you can only do so much.
But at the same time, it's like you can knock him for that. Like, you should listen to your coach. He called the play. He's paid to call the play. You play the play.
I'm just saying it didn't work out that success. Like, it'd be like one thing if Peyton Manning was doing it. It's like, well, look, it worked out or whatever. But the Packers have not been good, and even in the years they have been good, aside from the Super Bowl run, you played a crappy Vikings team most of the time. You played a bad Bears team. You played a horrible Lions team. That's like 6 automatic wins. The other 10 games of the season, if you just go 500, you're at 11 wins.
True, but I think a lot of their success has come from Aaron Rodgers, and
without a doubt,
and the things that he's doing.
Without
Mike McCarthy is probably the reason why they didn't win more.
Yes, I agree.
Now we can knock Aaron Rodgers for not listening to the head coach.
Yeah, that's all.
But at the same time, if we look back at it a little bit harder, I kind of wish
did it more.
Matt Stafford would do it. You know what I mean? Like, everybody watches the Lions play their plays and hate the calls that Jim Bob Cooter was playing. Like, bro, if you don't change that, but do you ever? How often do you see Matthew Stafford audibling or hearing of him changing the play? Never. He's like, that's the play. I'm gonna go with it. You know what I mean? I'm not about to throw any shade in his directions, and I would like to.
Stafford's not Aaron Rodgers, though. I feel like a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers is going to be able to get away with doing that. Stafford does that. He's already kind of on the hot seat. It's
but some people are more vocal than others.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is not. I mean, Stafford's not a vocal person, but I would like.
I know this has become a 2-person show.
I would like to send prayers out to him and his family. His wife has a benign tumor, and she's going to have brain surgery sometime in April. Now, I did get with my medical expert, and the location of this tumor is just like on the top of the ear. It's against the head, so it's not like deep in the brain. So brain surgery is not easy, but it should be. There's no such thing as easy brain surgery. But
no.
If you're going to have it anywhere, at least I'd have it on the side wall. So shout out to Stafford family. Send prayers their way. Hopefully everything goes well. And that's that.
How did that not come out until right now? By the way,
what?
Kelly Stafford's tumor. I can't believe we didn't hear about it till she had the surgery.
She hasn't had it yet. She's having it sometime in April, but it's because it's. I mean, I went to the doctor last week. Does anybody know about the results? You know what I mean? So it's not like she went to the. Actually, that's the funny thing is.
Yeah, but you're not hated by an entire metro region.
She actually did see. She was having headaches, and the team physician was like, "Hey, you should go to the hospital, go get this checked out. And then under that care, she did get it checked out. But it's still medical information that we're not privileged to. You know what I mean? She released it on her own Instagram and the whole 9 yards. So we're not privileged to that. And there's not many things that Stafford stands out and says or anything like that. So we wouldn't have known anyway. And plus, this has been leading up the past few weeks anyways.
Mm-hmm.
But my prayers are with them, and we'll see what happens. But
what else is there today, Roger?
What's
I don't have much to say about the NFL. It's a problem.
It's not a problem. It's because there's nothing really going on in the NFL right now.
It's a weird time. But no, because it's like everything's about to happen.
That's what I
it's
mean.
like the second wave.
Well, the first wave of free agency is over.
Yeah, it's like the second wave of.
We're in that in between free agency and the draft.
You know, now you've got random headlines. RG3 said that he had a chance at the Jag starting gig, which was like
yeah, right.
It's the same thing I said.
No, you don't really have a chance at their starting gig. No.
You stay where you're at. You stay as a backup.
Well, especially not when Nick Foles is in the league. Like, even if he hadn't signed there, he would have signed there. If that makes sense.
I don't see that. Like, here's RG3. Here's Nick Foles. You know what I mean? I think he was a product of his environment.
I think Nick Foles is way better than RG3.
Yeah, it's not even close.
That's what I said. RG3 here. That is a better though.
Okay, that's a big. Is that as big? I don't know. I'm like here to here, but I don't know how high your scale goes.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say if you're just listening, you can't see. His hands are about a couple inches apart, so we're kind of not sure exactly what
how
he means.
How much better? A few inches.
He's like Eli Manning, Joe Montana, just like right here.
I said
but in between there's 2,000 quarterbacks. It's just 4 inches of measurement.
I said Joe Montana.
Yeah, no, but it's a weird time, and it's that gray area of time when like hockey's not in playoffs yet, NBA's not in playoffs yet, NFL hasn't drafted yet,
baseball just
started, so nothing really matters yet.
You're like one football game into the baseball season, if even that.
Baseball's already got some crazy good storylines though. Like Boston's given up 63 runs in their first, or 64 runs in their first 7 games,
or
in their first 7 losses. They didn't lose their 7th game until the end of May last year.
Jeez.
I mean, but there's a lot of teams just kind of completely stinking it up. You know what I mean? So we will go to the MLB talk. Give us a little Tigers update. Thus far, we are 5-3. This is a Detroit team that I do not hate. I would like to point that out. But Tigers are 5-3. They're second in the division, even though they have more wins than the first team. Maybe the Twins beat us.
4-2. The Twins are 4-2. But they have less losses.
Oh, less loss. All right. But it's still early. They've been playing well, but there are a lot of storylines. Like, all right, the Chicago Cubs have completely sucked. Their bullpen is horrible.
Damn.
So is Washington. So is Boston. So at the same time, it's like
okay, but
it's early
that's
season.
it though. Like, you can just wrap it up and say it like that, but you should be concerned about Boston.
Boston comes in with the worst fielding percentage. They've made 9 errors in the first 7 games, but this is a team that Dave Dombrowski neglected not to spend some more money on the bullpen. They were trying to be smart about it, but a lot of teams were not spending money on the offseason because of the illusion of collusion, if you will.
But they're already leading in payroll anyway, so they can't really spend too much money.
Yeah, but they could because there's no cap. I mean, they have the luxury tax, which is fine, but this is a team
but
that
they not to cut you off. They lost a first round pick because of how much money they're over on the salary cap.
Over the tax.
The tax.
They didn't lose a first round pick for that. They lost a first round pick because of they lost somebody. It has something to do with signing a player that Boston had. That's the only time you lose a pick.
Compensatory pick.
Yeah, exactly.
So let me get this straight. So you're telling me that Dave Dombrowski did a Dave Dombrowski thing and spent money everywhere but his bullpen?
Okay, but wait a second. Now that's a misconception.
Yeah,
Dave Dombrowski, the last 3 years he was here, he worked hard. He made trades and he signed people. It's just none of them worked. He made bad choices, but he spent money on the bullpen. He signed Joe Nathan for a $20 million deal. It was a terrible signing, but he spent money on it.
Yeah, the thing is that what Dave Dombrowski failed to do in his last 3 years as a GM was look at the landscape there. He signed the best guys out there. I mean, there was guys like Joe Smith who was out there. There's other relievers, and he didn't have. I don't think he trusted his scouts enough to get the right guys in place to succeed. Because even you look at Jim Johnson, who was here for a minute, and he ended up going to the Braves the following year, and they fixed his flaws, and he became a pretty decent closer. So it involves with the scouting on top. It involves the Tigers not adjusting correctly to making, even though like the Verlander thing. Verlander, passive aggressively blamed the Tigers medical staff for not his issue, and the Houston Astros and independent person outside of the Astros were able to fix his problem, and Verlander picked up velocity pretty quickly. So, but I mean, the storyline's really in terms of the Tigers. The Tigers are playing a shorthanded Yankees team, a Yankees team that really just that swung on a lot of stuff. However, what you can look at some of the positives on the Tiger side of things is Spencer Turnbull.
Yeah,
the guy's a beast. 10 strikeouts, great slider piece. Just his secondary pitches were outstanding. And Jordan Zimmerman, and it was a stat that I mentioned on the Tigers podcast, on a live show on Thursday. He only threw his fastball 36% of the time, the lowest percentage on any opening day starter. And that year, when he was throwing his fastball less, was in 2012 when he led the NL in ERA. So I think that for the Tigers to have that kind of production, and Matt Moore was hitting 95 against Toronto. And I think he goes today. I believe he goes today.
Yeah, but
I'm like, all the same time, like, well, wait a minute here. But Matt Moore, I mean, Toronto's also terrible. Toronto has looked.
Oh yeah, look, Toronto. Yeah, they have been no hit through 6 innings their first 5 games of the year, right?
And then they almost got no hit last night against Cleveland.
Yeah, their offense is. But
I would like to say, stand correct. They didn't lose a first-round pick. They lost 10 spots of their first-round pick, which basically makes it a second-round pick.
For international.
Oh, yeah, that's a new rule, though.
Yeah,
they literally just implemented that.
It's for this year because they're $40 million over on the luxury tax.
Yeah.
But it'll continue to happen. They're gonna, if they do it again, they lose their first round. So
it's all about range of how high far over you are.
They can't continue to spend money. But here's the thing. Not saying that everything goes in a line, but Boston has won 3 championships over the past few years. The following year, they haven't been good, correct?
I guess, but I thought we were talking about the Tigers because Roger kind of didn't bring up the pitcher I'm most impressed with on the staff, and Matt Boyd hitting double-digit strikeouts in both of his first 2 starts.
I was going to get to Boyd because Boyd. Here's the thing about Matt Boyd that's been fascinating. The comparison that Chris and I debated about this before, that he would be compared to like somebody like Nate Robertson, who by the way was at the Fox 2 broadcast, and he did the chewing gum thing, which is like, dude, come on, really?
With what Fox 2 broadcast? Oh,
so, he's still holding on to that.
Yeah, the opening. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. I mean,
hey,
exactly.
Man, when your career ERA is what, like 5.89, you kind of just have to hold on to what you have to.
Well, yeah, but get back to
he's not good. He was never great.
It's like he's the only baseball player to ever chew like an outrageous amount of gum. Like,
yeah,
what the hell?
Do silly things like that. But Matt Boyd has gotten. I made the bold statement that I thought he'd be coming out better than Daniel Norris. I said that 3 years ago. And one of those bold predictions that I actually come out of my ass actually came true. But it was also because Boyd's velocity saw an uptick in spring this year, and it's setting up his secondary pitch as well. So I think he last year finished strong, and he's continuing that. And the Tigers, look, even when teams catch up to the Tigers, you could say this, but Matt Boyd, you know at least he can break a losing streak. But the problem is the offense behind him is atrocious. I mean, Josh Harrison has had like 1 for 2 or 2 for 20 something or another. Grayson Griner has done a fantastic job of framing. Has done a really good job of holding the staff down. However, can't hit the same.
Well, yeah, and that was always what they talked about as he came up through the system. Is he ever going to hit? We know he's a great catcher, but is he ever actually going to hit?
Who I yawned?
Grayson Griner.
Who the hell is that?
He's
the catcher. I just said the catcher.
Man, I used to know bullpens of every team, and now I can't name who the starting catcher of the Tiger is. Crazy.
Bobby Wilson is their backup right now, isn't he? Again?
No, John Hicks is.
Yeah, you're right.
Wilson's down in Toledo.
Yeah, but he's on the team for the
Pirates?
4th time.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Josh Harrison. Huh.
Yeah, the Josh Harrison.
They got him.
But
good for them.
But you look at it, even without getting production from Miguel Cabrera, who hasn't had anything. He hasn't had an extra base hit all season long yet. He's had a couple warning track shots, but nothing. This is kind of like what I expected. But Candelario looking sharp, really good sharp defensively on third base side of things.
I'm worried about Miguel Cabrera. I don't want to brush over it because
I don't want. Yeah,
it's because he's not. I think he wants to show everybody that he still has his power, and his on-base percentage is going to take a hit because of it, I think. And the whole reason Miguel's valuable is because his OBP is always above. It's like 380 to 400 no matter what. He's like a career 400 OBP. So, and right now I think it's in the 200s. I know we have 7 games, 8 games, whatever it is, but
yeah, it's like playing the first quarter of an NFL season and trying to take stock of where you are.
But
I mean, like the first quarter of one game.
But at the same time, Miguel Cabrera hasn't been good for a while, so you need to see some improvement, and we haven't seen it yet.
I mean, he hasn't really been good, but he's been more injured than he has been bad playing, though.
You're right, but he came into this offseason saying this is the healthiest he's been in years. And
everybody says that.
He hasn't said in the past couple of years. In fact, he's mentioned that he's been a little well, not him, but like it's been known that he's been a little hobbled. This is the first offseason where we don't have or first beginning of the season where we're not worried about that.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's
Rose
the same
talked to him
results.
about it. Yeah, but no, what I've taken away from the Tigers so far is that this team is significantly better than Kansas City. I mean, Kansas City was predicted to finish ahead of them, but
I actually was insulted by that.
I was insulted too by it, honestly.
I mean, I get why, but at the same time, I think Kansas City's offense is going to be worse. They just lost Perez for the year.
Yeah.
So he was on the All-Star team last year because the Kansas City Royals had to have an All-Star last year.
I mean, right now we have the 29th average batting average and 29th in runs. You know what I mean? So it's still early. I don't want to knock them or throw shade, but I mean, to have some real expectations of the year, this is still supposed to be a down year.
Well, no,
I mean, but like Matthew Boyd, he is on my fantasy baseball team, loving it. 23 strikeouts in the past 2 games. But at the same time, he was phenomenal until June, and then got bad for a couple months, and then got good. You know what I mean?
He was kind of rocky last year, but. No, what you have to hope for, you have to find things to look forward to for the Tigers.
Like
that's what I'm saying. And I don't even care what Mickey does this year.
Like this?
You should.
The 2-run shot as well. The Seawolves win it 11-1.
Yeah.
And back at it tomorrow, hoping to.
That guy is a man among children.
Casey Mize had his first outing of the season. It was in that game that Casey Mize had his first game of the season.
It was in Lakeland.
Oh, it was Lakeland.
Lakeland, yeah.
He had an incredible outing, and I watched a little bit of the highlight, just a couple of videos of the way he was throwing. I kind of can't wait till the Tigers' pitching falls apart, till they move some people around, and then they have to call him up because that's going to happen. I think he's going to get called up. I'm hoping by the end of May. That's the only. I kind of want the Tigers to suck for that reason. I want them to be terrible, so they are forced to just be like, well, might as well start giving the young guys time now. And I don't see. Their starting rotation is going to be so different at the end of the year than it is right now.
Yeah, you would hope that that Jordan Zimmerman can provide some sort of trade value, but we'll see what happens. I mean,
honestly, does have a terrible contract.
He does have a terrible contract, but at the same, but you know what?
Baseball's different with that.
Baseball's different, and what's even stranger, and this is something I wanted to get another time for, is all the contract extensions that is going on. The Rays are doing it right now, which is strange.
Oh, you mean all the young players that are, or the teams that are locking up their young players on 7 to 10 year contracts?
Yeah, because they know full well a strike is coming. Because if Tony Clark has done a terrible job of managing the players union, it's atrocious. But if the veteran players are going to fight for it, I think they're right now the owner's like, hey, young guy, look, we're paying you. You don't strike. You're with us. We got you covered. But look at Craig Kimball, still not signed. But he also wants, big money, and it's unrealistic. But and the other story I want to mention is Fernando Tatis Jr. in San Diego.
Oh yeah, he's hit his second homer last night off a 99-mile-an-hour fastball.
Yeah,
he looks everything as advertised. But I'm not trying to change the subject. But what you just said, Roger, teams are showing that they're wrong. Adam Jones has 4 home runs for the Diamondbacks. He's batting cleanup.
Yeah,
and it's like, can you believe that nobody wanted him?
Cleveland needed a center fielder really bad, and they went cheap. And they were. And I guess one of the teams that's hemorrhaging money, but I don't buy for a minute.
That makes no sense. Why would you hemorrhage money when you are by far the best team in your division? There's not even a team in their division that's competing right now.
I think the Twins.
Well, they're trying.
I think the Twins, if they can get their rotation set up, I think we could give them some run for money. But
and because it's Cleveland,
and Adam Jones, who constantly had racial issues in Baltimore, goes to
Arizona,
home
of racists.
He goes to Arizona, and then he's still getting heckled by racist people. Like the Padres fan was being racist towards him, and then he got the guy thrown out.
What a surprise!
Do you think maybe people do that because they know it's an issue with him?
I think they do.
Yeah. I love that about the MLB though. Is like if you just tune out for like a year and come back, everybody's on a different team. Yeah. I saw like a GIF on Monday. It was like Jerks and Profar having a wild throw, and I'm like, Jerks and Profar plays for the A's now, and they were like, Tulowitzki's injured for the year, and I'm like, Tulowitzki plays for the Yankees now. Like, it's insane if you just tune out for 1 year.
Tulowitzki played for the
Blue Jays forever, but now he's with the Yankees.
not forever. He only played for the Blue Jays for 2 years.
He got cut, but he's on the Yankees now.
Yeah.
But it's jarring to me when you come back in and you guys just casually just like, oh yeah, Adam Jones plays for the Diamondbacks.
Well, that happened a week ago.
Orioles?
Yeah. That happened a week ago. That happened the day before opening day or 2 days?
Where did he play before that though?
Baltimore.
Oh, he was in Baltimore the whole time.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You know what he said? He said, "Why don't you keep the banter polite?" Like that's a hell of a response.
Yeah,
that's actually really calm too. He's just like, just chill, bro.
Yeah, no, chill because he's right. Because I mean, we saw what happened with Westbrook in Utah this year. I mean. The owner had to come on and say that stuff, so that was interesting. But I don't know. It's baseball season's on the way, and they of course the Stanley Cup playoffs are around the corner too. So the Wings are winning for some strange reason. So lose for Hughes is out of the question at this point. But
the Tigers do draft fifth.
Yeah, well, I don't trust their scouting department to save their life. Sorry.
Hey, I did want to say earlier we don't have time to talk about it, but their scouting has changed since Dave Dombrowski left, and it's noticeable. Yeah, they don't go after the power right-handed high school arms
This
anymore.
is true, but right now, lining up, I hate to say this, Papcheck, their 2017 draft is lining up to be one of the worst drafts in team history because it has produced dick.
Oh, yeah, and that was Faedo, and Faedo looks like he's getting worse.
Yeah, I mean, they also could fire their pro scout a few weeks before the draft.
Dave Littlefield, who's the head of scouting.
Shout out to the Lions.
I don't even want to get into that. Yeah, oh, yeah. All right, thanks, Jason, so much for stopping in. We appreciate it.
It's fun to listen live.
Find us listening, or you can go to our website, sportsradiodetroit.com. The show will be up quickly. The Final Four for Detroit's favorite personality contest starts today, and it'll go until Tuesday at midnight. So if you're listening to us today, which I'll be posting these shows today, vote. And we appreciate everybody voting. Again, by the way, I cannot stress this enough. Austin and Joe have done a really good job anchoring our SRD sidebar that Ben is the editor for, and Joe wrote a really good piece on Lil Nas X's Old Town Road, which is a song, and now it's charting on country charts. So check out his review for it. He went viral. He got some really good retweets on that, and our site blew up for it. So Joe, Austin, thanks so much for writing. You guys have done a really good job of contributing on the site. Appreciate it. And until then, see ya.
Thank you.